My golden sister sent me a housewarming registry, a 70, in TV, a luxury sofa, and $20,000 toward renovations. I said, "Dream on." She snapped, "Then you're not invited." So, I stayed home, and what happened next had even our parents blaming her. When I first saw my sister Kylie's text, I thought it was one of those ridiculous memes she always sends. It just said, "Hey sis, here's our housewarming registry. Can't wait to see what you pick." I didn't open it right away. I was at work, buried in emails, and honestly, I rolled my eyes and assumed it was something lighthearted. Maybe a little wish list on Amazon, with a few kitchen things or a throw blanket. She and Sean had just moved into Grandma Dolores's house a few weeks before. That house had been sitting empty since the spring, and it still smelled like mothballs and lemon cleaner last I checked. But later that evening, after I poured myself a glass of wine, I remembered her message and finally clicked the link. I swear I sat there with my mouth open for a full minute. It wasn't a regular registry. It wasn't even a wish list. It was more like a corporate-level, meticulously organized spreadsheet with categories labeled essential, luxury, and must-haves before the holidays. There were columns for item names, prices, preferred colors, and even expected delivery windows. It had everything from a $6,000 leather sectional to a $1,200 standing mixer in some custom metallic color, a designer floor lamp that cost more than my first car. And right in the middle of the spreadsheet, between the kitchen and living room tabs, was one labeled cash support. That's where I found it. Bolded, highlighted, suggested donation toward renovation fund, $20,000. And then the note underneath. "Ruby, we're counting on you for this one." I actually said, "Nope," out loud. I closed the laptop and sat back, trying to process what the hell I just saw. This wasn't a wedding registry. This wasn't even a baby shower. This was Kylie and Sean moving into a house they got for free. And somehow, I was expected to bankroll their HGTV fantasy. I should have ignored it. Let it sit. But I couldn't. I called her that night. She answered like nothing was weird. Started talking immediately about paint colors, the price of quartz countertops, and how she'd finally found the perfect chandelier for the foyer. I listened, biting my tongue, and then asked her directly if she was being serious with the registry. She said she was, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Said that I always helped, that I had more than enough and it was just money, that she and Sean were building their life and needed support from people who care. I told her I wasn't sending $1. Not one. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just said flatly, "Then you're not invited," and hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. Not because I was surprised. Honestly, Kylie's always had a streak of entitlement, but because it was the first time she'd been that blunt about it, like I was some ATM with a sisterly nickname. The party was that Saturday. I stayed home. Didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't explain. Just sat on the couch, watched terrible reality TV, and let it blow over. Around 7 p.m., my phone started buzzing. First, my cousin Rachel. Then Aunt Jen. Then our mom. Kylie hadn't told them anything except that I bailed. Rachel said the mood shifted the moment people realized I wasn't there. Apparently, Kylie got snippy and started acting like the victim, said I'd abandoned the family moment. But I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Not anymore. 2 days later, I got a message from my dad. Simple. Kylie told us what happened. We need to talk. I braced for a lecture. But when I called, it was different this time. He was quiet, and after I told him the whole story, there was a long pause. Then he said one thing that changed everything. "This isn't the first time she's done something like this, is it?" That's when I knew the tide was turning, and Kylie had no idea what was coming next. After that call with my dad, I had this strange feeling, like something in the air had shifted. It wasn't just that he believed me, it was the way he said it. Like maybe, for the first time, someone else was seeing Kylie the way I had for years. He asked how much she'd taken, Not just the $20,000 she casually asked for in the registry. The rest. I told him everything. The $3,000 emergency loan last November, when Sean supposedly got laid off, never repaid. The time she used my credit card to buy essentials and racked up $1,700 at Anthropology and a weekend spa resort. I had to cancel the card. I'd covered her rent twice back when she was figuring things out. That's not even counting the gifts, the trips, or the time I paid the deposit for her dog surgery because she said he was like family. It added up easily. Close to 10 grand. He was quiet. Then he said, almost like to himself, "We should have seen this sooner." And just like that, the spell started breaking. The next day, my mom called. I could tell she'd already spoken to my dad because she didn't defend Kylie the way she usually did. Instead, she asked what really happened with the registry. I forwarded her the spreadsheet. 5 minutes later, she texted back, "Wow." That same day, I got a message from Rachel. She said Kylie had asked her for $250, claiming the furnace might need to be replaced. Rachel didn't know what to do, but now that she saw the registry too, she was furious. Said she'd also lent Kylie money back in June, a few $100 to hold her over. And once that conversation started, the rest came fast. Aunt Jen had spotted her for $100. Uncle Greg said she asked for a loan to help with property taxes, even though the house was fully paid off. A neighbor painted her garage as a favor, expecting at least gas money. Nothing. Another friend sent me a screenshot where Kylie said she'd fallen behind on bills and needed help before Sean found out. She wasn't just borrowing, she was juggling. And I'll admit, once I realized the truth was coming out, I didn't stay quiet. I didn't blast her on social media. I didn't start fights. I just shared the facts. When people reached out, I showed them the same registry she'd sent me. I answered their questions without sugarcoating it. I told the truth, and that was enough. Kylie had always gotten away with this because no one compared notes. She isolated people, made everyone think she was desperate, broke, alone. Meanwhile, she was living rent-free in a 2-story house, ordering $90 candles and custom curtains. She played the victim beautifully until someone said no. My parents sat her down that weekend. I wasn't there, but my mom told me how it went. She said Kylie tried to cry her way through it. Blame Sean. Blame stress. Said I was twisting everything. When they pushed harder, she started lashing out. Claimed they were taking my side, like always, which is hilarious considering I've spent years being the family fixer while she played the struggling little sister. That's when my mom said it. "We're not giving you another dollar." And then my dad added, "If you can't manage this house on your own, maybe you shouldn't be living in it." Kylie flipped. She called me that night and left a voicemail saying I'd ruined her, that I turned the family against her and destroyed everything. I didn't call back. But while she was busy spinning, she forgot something. Something I gave her 6 months ago. Something I had a receipt for. And I decided I was taking it back. 6 months ago, when Kylie moved into Grandma Dolores's house, she stood in the doorway acting like she just stepped into her own personal fairy tale. She called it their forever home, even though she didn't lift a finger to earn it, just inherited it outright, like some kind of reward for simply existing. I remember she hugged me tight that day, said something like, "You always come through for me, Ruby. I don't know how I do this without you." And like an idiot, I smiled and handed her the housewarming gift I had lugged over with the delivery crew. A brand new washer and dryer set, top of the line, stainless steel, digital touchscreen, energy efficient, the works. I paid for installation and haul away. Cost me just over $2,200 with taxes. At the time, I told myself it was a gesture of love, a practical gift, something she truly needed. But now, after the registry, after the lies, the manipulation, the tantrum she threw when I refused to fund her fantasy home renovation, that washer and dryer felt like a mistake I could still fix. I went digging through my emails, found the invoice, called the appliance store and explained the situation. To my surprise, they said yes. Their policy allowed retrieval and store credit if the item was under warranty, in good condition, and purchased within the year. So I scheduled the pickup. 3 days later, I showed up with the delivery truck. Not out of spite, but out of principle. She hadn't earned it. And I was done giving. When we pulled up, Kylie's car wasn't in the driveway, but Sean's was. He opened the door and just stared at me for a moment. He didn't even ask what I was doing. I told him calmly that the washer and dryer were still in my name. I had the receipt, and the store had approved the pickup. He stepped aside without a word. The movers went in, disconnected everything, wrapped the cords, padded the units, and rolled them right out the door. I thought maybe Sean would get angry or ask me to reconsider. But instead, he sat down on the stairs and watched them carry it out like it was the end of something he'd been expecting for a while. As I was signing the paperwork outside, he stood in the doorway and said, "She told me you flipped out over nothing, but now that I've seen everything, I don't even know who I married." I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. The next morning, Kylie called me 4 times. I didn't pick up. Then she texted a long paragraph accusing me of publicly humiliating her and violating her space. Said I was making things worse between her and Sean. Claimed she was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. That I never truly supported her, and she always felt like I looked down on her. I didn't respond. She called our mom next. Sam Routine. Said I stole from her. My mom asked her if she paid for the appliances. Kylie said, "Well, that's not the point." But by then, it was very much the point. Because it wasn't just about the washer and dryer anymore. This was the moment the illusion cracked. By the end of that week, Sean moved out. No drama. No fight. He just left. Took a duffel bag and his gaming console. Told my cousin, who lives a few blocks away, that he was going to stay with a friend for a bit and needed space. Apparently, he'd had no idea how bad things had gotten. Financially, emotionally, everything. Kylie had been telling him she had support, that the family was helping them get settled. He never saw the full registry. I guess she only showed him the parts that made her look reasonable. But once he saw the full thing, he was done. The washer and dryer being gone was just the final straw. It wasn't just a loss of convenience. It was symbolic. That's what my cousin said. He told her, "If Ruby's taking back gifts, there's more to this story." Then, like dominoes, the rest started falling. Rachel asked for her money back. Kylie couldn't pay. Aunt Jen stopped replying to her texts. Uncle Greg left her on red. Our mom told her they wouldn't be giving her another cent. Dad said if she couldn't handle basic upkeep on the house, maybe she wasn't ready to own one. Coolly spiralal. She posted some passive-aggressive quote about betrayal from within your own bloodline on Facebook, then deleted it an hour later, probably because no one liked it. But while she was busy trying to control the damage, she forgot something else. Something she'd borrowed from me last year. Something I hadn't mentioned to anyone yet. And this time, I wasn't just taking it back. I was going to make sure it cost her. There was still one thing Kylie had of mine. Something she probably assumed I'd either forgotten or forgiven. But I hadn't done either. Last year, she called me during a work meeting, borderline hysterical, saying her car had broken down and Sean couldn't get to work. Claimed the timing belt had snapped. The mechanic wouldn't release the car without full payment, and she didn't have the money. I remember stepping out into the hallway and wiring her $1,800 before even finishing my coffee. She promised to pay me back in 60 days. Said she just needed to get through this month. A year later, she hadn't paid a dime. When I brought it up once, months back, she acted confused. Said she thought it was a gift since I never pushed her about it. She literally shrugged and said, "Oh my God, I totally forgot about that." I didn't forget. So I filed a small claim suit quietly. No threats. No dramatic warning call. I printed everything. The bank transfer. Our text thread. The mechanic's invoice she forwarded to me. I organized it in a neat folder and dropped it off at the courthouse like I was mailing a birthday card. She was served on a Tuesday afternoon. I know because she left me 2 back-to-back voicemails. The first yelling. The second crying. She called me heartless. said I had no clue what she was going through, that I was just like Mom, always holding money over people's heads. No apology, just deflection. And then something happened that neither of us saw coming. I was on the phone with Rachel the next day. We weren't even talking about Kylie. I was venting about work when Rachel suddenly asked, "Did you hear Sean was at Aunt Jen's last night?" No, I hadn't. Apparently he'd shown up to talk about the house, not to gossip. He had questions. He was confused. Confused because, as Rachel put it, he thought the house was also in his name. He believed Kylie had added him to the deed right after the wedding. That's what she told him. But she hadn't. Grandma Dolores left the house to Kylie, and only Kylie. And not only had she never added Sean to the deed, she'd also taken out a home equity line of credit behind his back. She told the bank it was for home improvements. She told Sean she didn't have any money, but she'd been sitting on nearly $50,000 from that loan. And here's where it got really messy. Sean found the paperwork by accident. He was going through mail one morning, saw a statement from the bank with a credit draw listed, and the loan wasn't in both their names, just hers. That's when he checked the deed. He wasn't on it at all. He was living in a house he thought was half his. He'd put money into it, paid for new gutters, landscaping, even a contractor for a bathroom quote. But legally, it wasn't his house, and she'd never planned for it to be. He packed a duffel bag and left. Just like that. Kylie didn't even know he was gone until she came back from Target that afternoon and found his closet half empty. No note, just silence. When she finally got a hold of him, he told her the truth. That he knew about the loan. That he knew about the lie. That he didn't trust her anymore. Then he hung up. She called me the next morning. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail, her voice trembling, saying she never meant for this to go this far. That she was just overwhelmed and she missed me. That everything was so complicated right now, but she needed her sister. Still no real apology, just a half-baked attempt at guilt and nostalgia. And while I was sitting there staring at her missed call, thinking about whether I even wanted to hear what she had to say, I got another call. This time from a lawyer. Not mine. Grandma's. Apparently, in her original will, not the one Kylie flaunted, there was a clause. A quiet little addendum no one had really paid attention to. It had been brushed aside during probate, because the house was still left to Kylie. But now, given the loan and Kylie's current legal situation, the clause was being revisited, and it mentioned me. The call from Grandma Dolores's lawyer hit me like a brick. He introduced himself politely and said he was following up on something that had resurfaced. Apparently, now that Kylie had taken out a home equity loan, missed payments were starting to catch up with her. The bank was looking into the title again, and in doing so, someone pulled the full estate file. That's when they found it. A clause buried in Grandma's original will. Not the final revision Kylie always waved around like a trophy, but the one before that. It was a fallback condition, written in if the heir proved financially irresponsible, indebted, or otherwise compromised the integrity of the estate. That clause named me as successor. Basically, if Kylie messed things up badly enough, the house wouldn't just stay hers. It could be transferred to me. It was rare, the lawyer said, but not impossible. And given the current situation, the bank had flagged it. I didn't even know how to respond. I just sat there on the phone in silence while he walked me through what that would mean. Kylie had taken out a $50,000 line of credit against a house she owned outright. She'd already missed one payment and was on the edge of default. If the bank foreclosed and saw the clause, and if I chose to pursue it, I could take the house. The same house she demanded $20,000 from me to renovate. The same house she lied about to her husband. The same house I gave her a washer and dryer for and then took them back. Now it was potentially mine. The lawyer told me to think about it. He said I didn't have to act now. But the opportunity was real, and there was a legal path to enforce it if Kylie continued to default or attempt to sell without paying the loan back. I got off the phone and just sat there. I couldn't believe how fast everything had turned. Not just the money. Not just the lies. The house. The one thing Kylie used to dangle over everyone's head. Her dream home. Her forever. I didn't call her. I didn't gloat. I didn't tell anyone except Rachel, who screamed into the phone when I told her. Meanwhile, Kylie was spiraling. After Sean officially filed for separation, she started posting cryptic things online. Song lyrics, Bible verse, quotes about betrayal. Then came the GoFundMe. I'm not kidding. She actually made a GoFundMe. Said she was facing unexpected housing costs and rebuilding after family abandonment. The goal? 3,500美元. I sent it to our parents. My dad just replied with a single word. Unreal. Our mom tried to talk to her again. One last time. She told Kylie that she needed to stop pretending the world owed her something. That maybe this was the moment to step back and take responsibility. Kylie hung up on her mid-sentence. So, here I was, sitting on a legal option to take her house while she was begging strangers on the internet to pay for her irresponsibility. And yet somehow she still didn't see the point. She texted me a week later. This time, she did apologize. Sort of. Said she understood now that she might have overstepped and that she missed having me in her life. I stared at the message for a while. Then I thought about the almost $10,000 I'd spent on her over the years, the holidays I'd covered, the furniture I'd helped her buy, the time I watched her dog for 3 weeks while she went to a yoga retreat. Then I thought about Grandma Dolores, how she always said, kindness isn't free, you pay for it with your time and your energy and sometimes with your peace. And I realized I'd paid enough, but I wasn't going to destroy her. I wasn't going to take the house just to prove a point. I'd wait. Let her keep it for now, because life was already unraveling faster than I could have planned. And I knew something she didn't. The loan repayment was due again in 11 days. And if she missed it, I'd be ready. 11 days later, I got the email I was half expecting. It was from the bank's legal department, CCing Grandma's estate lawyer. The subject line was clinical. Delinquency notification, home equity loan, property 1000, 147 South Maple. But the meaning hit hard. Kylie had missed her second payment. The grace period was over. The property was now at risk of default. And just like that, the clause kicked in. Grandma had always been sharp. Sharp enough to see Kylie for who she was, even if she never said it out loud. That clause wasn't just there by accident. It was her way of giving me a quiet shield, a way to fix what Kylie might someday break. The lawyer walked me through the next steps. I had every legal right to pursue ownership of the house. Kylie couldn't block it. Not after defaulting and pulling a loan against the property under false renovation claims. I thought about it for a full day. Then I filed the petition. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about the house anymore. It was about the fact that Kylie had taken advantage of everyone, twisted every gift into a stepping stone for herself, and never once thought about what it cost the people around her. The day she got the official notice, she came straight to my door. I hadn't seen her in person in months. She looked different, tired, less polished. No fake lashes, no carefully planned outfit, just a sweatshirt and old jeans. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She asked me if I was really going to take the house. I told her I didn't need to. The bank would do that for me. All I did was put my name back where Grandma wanted it to be. She stood there for a long time. Then she asked, "Is this really how it ends?" I told her, "No, this isn't the end. This is the result." A few weeks passed. The process moved faster than I expected. The house was now mine. Or rather, it would be in full within 90 days, unless she came up with enough money to repay the loan, which, given her GoFundMe was stuck at $670, wasn't happening. Her parents, our parents, made their position clear. They weren't giving her another cent. Aunt Jen blocked her. Rachel never spoke to her again, after Kylie tried to guilt her into helping out just this once. Sean didn't just leave her. He filed for divorce. No explanation. No back and forth. Just a signed packet delivered to her front step. Apparently, The lie about the house broke something he couldn't repair. But the surprise came at the very end. The same day the final transfer papers came through, I received a letter. Handwritten. It was from Kylie. 3 pages. No excuse. No manipulation. She admitted everything. The guilt. The lies. The money. She said she'd been selfish, arrogant, and blind. That she treated love like a transaction and only realized it when no one was left to pick up her pieces. She asked for one thing, a chance to rebuild something with me. Not money, not help, just time. I read it 3 times. I wanted to believe her. But here's the truth. I'd forgiven her too many times already. And while my parents were ready to give her a second chance, I wasn't. Not anymore. I keep the house. I keep my distance. And this time, I keep my peace.